Hey everyone, welcome to Shunya One, episode 117. We continue to do this podcast from Zoom. The world has not changed. We are still remote, and this is the way of life now. I hope you can hear me clearly. We haven't had any tech snafus on this episode so far.
Well, I
So
think that is a exception which we hope to soon become the rule, right?
exactly.
We're
Welcome to
still
the
starting
show.
half an hour late though,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's okay. That's like all Zoom calls. That's like all Zoom calls. But funnily enough, today we have a guest who usually, if their Zoom calls start late, they get to scold their, the other participants and probably give them punishments and homework. So, welcome to the show, Pulkit. Thank you for making the time. It's great to
Thanks,
have you
Sheila.
here.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yes, and like we can see, you are the one here who has the most coolest audio and video setup because you actually do this for a living day in day out, more than people like us who are well like home podcasters and Amit who runs a podcasting company who is
Oh,
also
yes.
doing
So,
this from home.
so we are the new age teachers, right? And this is our home. So, this is our teaching pod, as we call it.
Wow, imagine that. I remember we used to have a studio. Amit has this very kick-ass studio in Bombay, which is now where no one is now going. We
it
also
has
had,
been unused for how long now, man? Almost like 11 months completely unused.
wow,
Like no
imagine that.
recordings. It's sad. I feel
Exactly.
bad.
So, now we realize that, a lot of things that we created, that we had built in our lives are not required anymore.
Exactly.
Well, no, I want the studio, man. I feel like there was a lot of benefit to having the studio.
Well, that's true. That's true. But you guys, Pulkit, I mean, you're sitting here. I can see the Vedantu colors behind you. But before we talk about, how you got to this cool teaching pod of yours, I actually, I mean, I of course know you for many, many years now, and we go way back. But I don't want to talk about that. I wanted to hear, and I want everyone else to hear about what sort of propelled you onto this constantly seemingly intensive journey of becoming a teacher and really becoming a teacher, not just a ed tech founder, which other people think all the other ed tech founders are. So I want everyone to hear that story because I think that sets you a little apart from all the other ed tech we have been hearing and seeing.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, Sheila, I mean, we have known each other for long now. And Sheila knows a lot about, how the story has been unfolding over the years. But, but yeah, it goes back long back. Uh, when I graduated in 2005. Um, and, those were the days when I was actually lost. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And, somehow we were four friends, and two of us were working in a very small place in Punjab called Barnala. That's how we went to that place, and actually happened to talk to a lot of young village kids there. So there was a chemical factory where they were working, and the factory worker kids, they used to come and discuss with them that what to do in life, how to prepare, and stuff like that. And that is how we connected with kids. And in between, Goa trips happened. Remember, Sheila, Dil Chahta Hai movie had come. So
Yes.
you guys were in Mumbai, probably you knew about Goa, but Dil Chahta Hai was our first uh, sneak peek into the world of Goa. And Goa trips happened, and dreamy 21, 22-year olds, we left our jobs and started teaching kids in a place called Patiala in Punjab. So Patiala, I think all of us know, right? It's famous
For
for,
the Patiala peg, that's pretty much my
yes,
only knowledge of Patiala.
yes. So that,
Yes.
so we thought, let's make it, maybe famous for better reasons than Patiala Peg. so so yeah, started teaching there, and that's how started our first venture in education, Laksh. Um and it was amazing. I mean, what I learned and what I saw there was that children from the smallest places in the country, you know, uh, are actually full of so much potential, right? And all they wanted was some spark, some encouragement, some inspiration. And the stories that unfolded in Patiala was so amazing. And the kind of people who became teachers. So basically, the thing which really got me thinking was that the best of the society, people like you and me, we don't become teachers, right? And even if we become teacher, we will never go to a place like Barnala or Patiala ever. A lot of amazing people joined us as teachers, and we started calling ourselves as teachers by choice. So that was the first journey, and it was amazing. But again became वो entrepreneur वाला थोड़ा सा कीड़ा कि why should it be a boutique? Why should a place like Patiala? By 2011-12, we were in 5 locations around that place. So why should this be restricted to these places only? How can we take it to every village, every small town in the country? And that's how the journey of Vedantu started way back in 2012. We really didn't know that how to make it happen. So a lot of discoveries, lots of I think more failures than successes. But eventually we stumbled upon this model of live online in 2014.
Wow. And that's way
and as-
before anything was really live online.
Oh yes,
There was
it
only live TV. I don't think there was live anything on the internet much.
It was pre 4G time, 14.
Right.
Yeah, it was a very different world altogether. And I remember that first year from 14 to 15, we really we forgot about the business or anything. The questions were, यार ऐसे पढ़ाई हो सकती है क्या? Can children learn this way? Can teachers teach? Can best of the society actually become teachers who can teach online? Will the payouts work? What will the price points? Will the network, the infrastructure, is it sufficient? Because we are talking about two-way, continuous, synchronous data communication, data transfer, right? So it was very heavy. So interesting times, yeah. 2014-15 was a very different world altogether. But once Geo happened, things started changing actually.
So if I could ask you a question, right? You said that the differentiating factor here is that you're live constantly, right? That most of the interactions happen live on other spaces, right? Why was that a choice made as opposed to like some sort of a mixed strategy? Because I would feel that some of your classes can be repeated, right? And by having to do them live every time, you're reducing the amount of people that a single course can hit, right? Can touch, right? So why did you think of that as the correct choice in this situation?
So Amit, I'll put it this way. So scale wasn't the thought when we began, right? So when we began, the most important aspect was we understood the role of a teacher in a child's life. So we had experimented with pure content as well, which we today call as asynchronous content, right? So imagine sending a child to a library which is filled with classified, structured books and asking that kid that dude, sab hai yahan pe, go and study.
Right.
That is asynchronous content, right? And what we realized that it's not about teaching Newton's law to a kid. I mean, all of us are, I know for Shila, engineer, right, at heart. But in life, what we study is not what we actually do, right? Then why do we even learn Newton's law or calculus for all that matter? So what we realized that teacher, in the process of teaching a concept, actually teaches a lot about life, how to think, how to solve a problem, how to approach, how to remain calm and composed in pressure cooker situation, right? So that's the role of teacher, right? So we kept that at the center, and then we started solving that. How can we get the access of this teacher to every part of the country, right? So started with one-to-one, but as Amit you rightly said, it's not scalable, right? And it's not affordable because accessibility and the affordability comes in, right?
Right.
So then we started innovating. So in 2016-17, we innovated on how can group classes happen online. But Amit, again, the important thing for us to understand is that these are young kids. We are not talking about the graduates,
Right.
who understand the tangibility of learning, getting a degree, getting a better job. We're talking about young kids who they don't have that much pressure of कि यार ये करना है या मुझे बैठना ही है पढ़ने के लिए.
Right.
We need to engage them in the learning process, right? So it has to be very engaging and interactive, right? So all our innovations and work actually went in making our classes at a high scale extremely engaging and interactive, A simple example of interaction being ability to solve the doubts or iterate the pace or level of the class in real time
Hmm.
based on the feedback which is coming in from the class,
Right.
right? So that is how we are trying to evolve. And uh, I'm very happy that today our classes are actually not one to one. Today we can do 1 to 500, 1 to 1000 ki classes, keeping the interactions and engagement
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
very healthy in the class. Yeah.
So I want to know what was that, insight, right? That I, like you said, you started Lakshya, you were, you and the rest of the team were basically teacher. You said, I want to become a teacher, and you became a teacher, and you obviously used the knowledge of subjects that you had and started teaching those subjects. I'm sure you actually ended up studying more yourself because of that. I remember, I'm pretty sure none of us, graduated with the right, with 100% knowledge of what we learned, but when you started teaching it, you probably became better at it. But you were at the time doing things like various other coaching classes were doing, right? What was it? Were you doing anything different which gave you this insight that we need to make this scalable? Or was it still a coaching class? Or like, what was the, why did you guys become online and become Vedantu while the rest of the coaching class industry is still a coaching class in most of the sense?
So yeah, very interesting question. Actually, this gets me thinking. So yeah, we did a lot of things. We never actually thought of ourselves as coaching, right? So we were a bunch of people who were not teachers before, right? The kind of, for example, I remember the first guy who became teacher beyond us was Harpreet. He was working with NVIDIA Graphics in San Francisco, IT Bombay grad. So he was visiting us and then he never went back. So it was a very different world out there, right? And we were not judging kids on the basis of their ranks. Uh, and our entire focus was on the journey, right? And and we all kept on talking about this again and again and telling us that we happen to speak the language of math, physics, chemistry, or bio, but what we are probably teaching these kids is life, because we all understood that यार इनको life में engineering तो पता नहीं कितने करेंगे, and how many of them, because as the life I've been tracking my students for last 15 years now, and very few of them have actually become engineers, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
they have gone in different walks of life. So that was the difference, the kind of people who we could attract and the delta that those teachers created in these lives, right, was very different from what I used to see in the usual coaching institutes, where the only language was to crack a rank, to get a rank, right? And I don't have any data to prove it. Let's put it this way: today around 20-25 people at Vedantu are my old students, right?
Nice.
Interesting.
So I've been seeing their lives, and the inspiration that they still carry in their lives today is very inspiring for me, right? So we felt that yaar ab fir apna khud ka gut hota hai, right? And
Sure.
we love to live in this reality distortion field, that probably what we are doing is very different. It may not be, but I kept at it, and I thought that let's scale that
So,
to every part of the country.
sorry, just to kind of, I don't mean to, this would, I mean, like to restate what you're saying in slightly different words. So you're saying that you think the primary value for a platform like Vedantu is more around the mentorship ideas and the actual learning pieces? Does that, the access to people from various walks of life? Would that be a correct characterization of how you guys look at it?
Yes, Amit. So I'll put it this way. It's to help a child achieve her true potential,
Hmm.
right? And it may not be in terms of getting a rank in the examinations, which the country is crazy about, right? But in the process, helping a kid discover and achieve her true potential, right? And learn those attributes and aspects of life, which will actually, help her in the life going ahead. So that is a core. That is what
Hmm.
we strive to do every day. Yes, we happen to speak the language of exams, because if you don't do that, we don't get the mind share of the audience, right? We need
Right.
to. So that's what we do. We speak the language which the audience can understand,
Mhm.
so that they trust us, they come to us, and then the way we do things is what is our core, and that's what we're very proud about.
How is what you do different from everybody else? And I'll give you the softball question, right? I
Sure.
mean, like, so that you can kind of expand on as you see it, right? But
Yes.
what do you think is the special sauce?
Yes. So first of all, Vedantu is a comprehensive learning system, right? We call it a journey internally. So basically, it's not just a class. So it's a curation of a lot of aspects like scheduled classes to assignments to testing to assessment. Right now, here the difference starts happening. Then very deep mentorship. So every child at Vedantu has what we internally call as academic mentor, right? And we don't just and we track the data and the progress and every aspect of a child as minutely as possible, because today, for the very first time in the human history, we also have the insight of what's happening to a child inside a classroom also,
Mm.
right? Which the world was blind to till date, right? How many pata tha? Because imagine all of us went to the classes, and when we used to come back home, our mothers used to ask us, so beta, how was the class? The answer used to be, हाँ माँ, okay, ठीक, आज boring था. But today we can actually decipher, and that's our core patents actually are granted on, what happens to a child inside the class, right? So when we have all this data, then, we do a lot of mentorship to the kids. Now, what we are going very deep into also is, we have started happiness courses. We have started lots of extracurricular courses for the kids, right? For example, speaking courses. Right now, the exams are for February is now the examination season, right? So right now we are running lots of happiness courses, lots of motivation classes. We are also running meditation classes for the students, right? We
Wow.
recently did what I was very happy about was Vedantu Got Talent. We realized that children, I'll tell you a very simple sentiment. Whenever I take a class or our teachers take a class, you'll always see, sir, please take my name. Sir, please take my name.
Yeah,
Right?
we've seen that
So
on YouTube videos also.
YouTube videos, right? So we realize that children need recognition, and
Mm.
our children, there is no platform for them to get recognized. And why should recognition only be academic? So we are trying to also build, aspects of recognizing children in whatever walks of life that they are, they think they are doing good.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if they're doing good or not. If they think they're doing good, let's recognize them. So how we see Vedantu as not as a tuition classes, we see Vedantu like a school in our minds, right? Because at a school, it's holistic. It tries to, evolve a child holistically and not just in their exams. So that's how what we are internally trying to do, right? So
Right.
that's our approach.
That's very interesting, because that's actually how I remember school, right? When I for though we obviously never had online classes, so the real memory of school that I have is the rest of the experience of school, like most of us, not
Exactly.
the classroom experience. The fact that I played some sport or did something, or saw someone, or that's experience. In fact, that brings me to another question of how your world or Vedantu's world changed with the pandemic last year, right? Because you were doing this from before it was the only way out for a child to get educated, and then came last year, it became the only option for everyone, right? In some way or form. So did you see a change in behavior because of that? Because the kids before were still going to school, they were getting that holistic experience out in the field and school all day, and then they were still coming to you. What's the difference in your world in both times?
So yeah, so last year was crazy, right? So a lot of things changed internally as well as externally. So yes, I would say we were rightly placed at that time. Yes, but what changed? So pre-COVID times, we were still, telling, educating parents and the families that this is also a way of learning, right? And online was sort of synonymous to video
Mhm.
pre-COVID, right? So online matlab video. अच्छा video recorded video देते होंगे आप, right? So it was very difficult for us to educate people that what, you can actually learn from a teacher. But this way of learning will be as engaging and interactive as the offline. In fact, much better in many ways, right? So that to a large extent, shifted. people started understanding कि अच्छा live भी पढ़ सकते हैं, right? So that is one. We saw a lot of primary dependence on us, right? So, and that also was a very interesting for us to understand that, if a child completely depends on something like Vedantu, right? What value can we create? Can we create values? Can we actually get a child to achieve, whatever that he or she is preparing for in whatever small time that we had with the kids? And we came out more confident, right? From the business and other parameters perspective, things grew, 7 to 8x in almost all the parameters, right? So that was also very interesting for us. And at tech, sort of, so I think we all have seen lots of these phases in the industry. Some things become hot suddenly. वो hot and
Yeah.
cold treatment चलता रहता है. So EdTech used to be the coldest thing out there, and suddenly became very hot. So
It
all
became
those
cold
things
again and
happen.
became hot again.
So
Sorry.
these things keeps happening. Amit, I mean, 2017 was the time when we were just closing वो shutter डाल रहे थे हम लोग. We were just closing the shop.
Yeah.
So to these things, I'm sure that post pandemic, the things definitely will not be as crazy as they were in the last year. So that is the actually I think the real challenge for companies like Vedantu will be, right? So people are now aware about that learning can happen online, right?
Right.
But unless until we do things like 5x better, right, there is no reason for people other than in very very small places to just come online, right? So that is, I think, I believe that now is the real challenge for industry, and I'm really hopeful as well. I'm very excited as well that it's not just in my mind an alternate way of learning. I think this is a way where we can actually teach like 5x better than the usual offline world, right?
Oh.
So that's what excites me actually.
So what are some of what are some of the tools or some of the ways that you can kind of achieve that 5x better, right? Like what are some of the things that you guys think that are available on a platform like Vedantu as opposed to going to school?
Got it. So let me tell you very simple examples. So let us imagine our offline class, right? A 50-60 बच्चों की class. Right? So because I've taught there, so we really didn't know what's happening to each and every child. कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा, समझ आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा, right? We usually used to get some understanding after 2-3 months when a test used to happen, right? Now look at Vedantu's class. So today imagine if there are 500 kids in the class, but my system precisely knows which child is losing interest when, at what point, what a child is doing, what type of example is he comfortable with, what type of example is he not comfortable with, right? Let's take a simple example. We know that if I sort of nudge a child in a real class that, hey Amit or Vishnu, where is your attention now? You are hiding somewhere, right? So suddenly oh what? Okay, I'm back.
I'm in trouble.
Right? I'm in trouble. So these small nudges are very very important. I'm just giving one example. Okay, for a child to remain attentive in the class, to to feel important, right?
Yeah.
In the eyes of someone that he or she looks up to a teacher. In Vedantu's class today, we're at a level where, based on the understanding live inside the class, we are able to algorithmically nudge children in many many ways, right, in real time, to encourage that child, recognize a child, reward a child, right, which was absolutely impossible in an offline class, right? Today the level of content that we use, right? So for example, now our platform supports 3D content, simulations. We can also support games today, the multiplayer games inside the live class, right? Suddenly we are realizing that the learning can be very much more engaging as compared to a usual offline class, right? And the third most important factor is that for majority part of the country, let us look at who becomes a teacher in our country. I cannot generalize it, but यार बीटेक नहीं किया, डॉक्टर नहीं बना, एमएससी नहीं करके कहीं प्रोफेसर या कहीं जॉब नहीं लगा, चलो बीएड कर लेते हैं, चलो टीचर बन जाते हैं, right? This for the majority, that is all the small tier 2 tier 3 towns, villages, the quality of teachers is the biggest problem. But today I'm teaching in the smallest parts of the country. I know children from Andaman Nicobar Islands. I know children from Baramulla in Kashmir. I know children from, the Bhutan border. They could have never, ever interacted with, people like us. Forget about them being teachers. I think that is the biggest delta, which, for major part, for the largest part of the country, can be created by platforms like Vedantu. And that too at an extremely affordable price. Because suddenly, one teacher teaching one to one teacher teaching 1,000,
Yeah.
I can have huge margins at the same time decreasing the price for the child drastically and keeping the learning experience extremely interactive and engaging as well in the process, right? So these are some things in my mind which I believe are much beyond an offline class. And I'm not talking about the other aspects, the content, the mentorship, the precision of which child to intervene at what time based on the data, and so on and so forth, access to the content outside the class, ability to ask doubt anytime, right? Even if it is 12 in the night, so on and so forth. So all those
So,
aspects are definitely there.
so Pulki, when you're talking about the data that you guys are collecting and using in different to kind of understand how children are performing within class itself, right? Can you give some examples of what kind of data that some
Yes.
illustrative examples of what kind of data you're collecting, and how what kind of insight that data provides you, right? It can be high level, but just I'm trying to get an idea of what kind of things would be there.
So Amit, how we approach it is that, first of all, the class cannot be a monologue, right? So if it is a monologue, it's a video. फिर तो मैं video बना देता हूँ. What's the whole
Right,
point of doing it live?
right.
So what we did first is we made content very, very interactive. So every few minutes, the child is interacting with the content live in the class, right? He's clicking something, asking something, giving some feedback, right? At times speaking something, right? It's all instrumented and curated inside the class, right? Now think about it. My content is also classified or instrumented with the data, right?
Right.
So higher the frequency of interactions inside the class, right? Higher is the frequency of data about the engagement of the child and the academic understanding of the child that I'm getting, right? Then we capture everything from the on the teacher side, the tone, the emotion, the sentiment in the class, the energy of the class, to what percentage of the students are going in the positive direction versus not, to the individual child, that is this child engaging enough, is he child how is his learning outcome varying inside the class, right? And now we are also doing the face recognition, sorry, the emotion tracking from the face as well.
Right.
That was very tough for us because the problem is we are dealing with India where the data is it's a big deal, right? So if I capture anything from student end and upload it, it just interferes with the quality of the class. So
Right.
we build system where we're trying to capture data at the browser level, right? And rather than sending the face data, we just share the emotion data, for example, right? So these are the kind of things that we are trying to capture, everything from the child's responses inside the class to child's actions inside the class to child's doubt asking inside the class, right? To child's in experimental way, the child's emotions inside the class. So all these things are getting tracked today and made sense out of.
And
Very
all of this is obviously like you build the platform, you build the the tech behind it, and of course I'm sure this is the differentiator in ed tech basically, where you can do all of this like you said. But have now that you guys have been around for a while, right? Unlike the super hot ed tech obviously which has exploded last year, you guys are actually pretty much the first movers in a way who have become so large. Have you seen that data yield, like has it completed the loop? Have you seen that students have, like you said, they are your old Lakshya students today are with you in Vedantu? Like, how have you seen the completion of the loop of Vedantu's experience itself?
So it's a very interesting question, Sheila. So we are continuously tracking cohorts, right? And what we're realizing, Sheila, is that there are very different types of students with different motivations who are studying with us. So our system works best for the children who are with us for elongated time. So today, just to give you an idea, so Vedantu runs extremely comprehensive courses of 1 year, 2 year long, right? Two, recently we have started, when I say recently, like one year or so, we have also started running extremely short courses which are 1 day long, for example,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So we call them micro courses. यार trigonometry में ये नहीं समझ में आया तो वेदांतु में पढ़ सकते हो, right? Because what we are seeing is that children are continuously coming online. We are acquiring students not at the start of the academic year, but every month, every day, right?
It's actually so cool, man. It's like a unit of a tuition teacher, right? So I don't need to take all the tuitions. I just want to understand this part of it. That's really cool, actually.
So because suddenly we realize that अरे बच्चों की requirements होती थी हमें समझ नहीं आती थी, right? So children, so in the boxed world of the offline, right? For example, my previous Laksh days, the only way to enter was during the start of the year, or towards the end of the year when we used to run some year-end courses. But today, the children know, यार मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा, तो मैं online पढ़ सकता हूँ, right? And I have choices. So Sheila, to your question, so what we have seen is we could actually demonstrate the delta of learning outcome, right? In our long-term courses, based on all the interventions that we have done, right? But we are yet to, fine-tune it for all these short engagements which we are doing. We are ourselves trying to understand ki chal kya raha hai, how to track a child, how to create some learning outcome improvement for this like 3-day engagement, 1 month engagement, stuff like that. So that is where we are yet to evolve a lot. And having said that, we are yet to achieve operational excellence of doing things.
Sure.
So what we see Vedantu is a journey. It's not just ki I sprinkled the classes, right? So classes, assignments, testing, mentorship, right? Then corrective content. It's very deep operational layer. And last year, what we realized is suddenly when things exploded, right? So though at the core, the things were strong, right? But around it, there is a lot of these journeys which needs to be fine-tuned as well. So that is where a lot of effort is going on, and as I said, outcome improvement seen in the long term, but in the short term, we are yet to understand ourselves. Kya kare, kaise kare.
The reason I asked is, the reason I asked is because like what you said at the start, right? The audience or the world still measures students by board exams and then degrees and then so on and so forth, right? I want to now that EdTech has obviously arrived, the world has changed, and I don't think it's going to go back at least to the way it was 5 years ago. Do you see this as a fundamental change that you guys can now not claim, but at least say you are a definite part of? Like, will this change not just, by the way, student behavior? I was also going to ask parents' behavior, because I'm sure the payments are done by the parents of all your of all your students. After all, they are your users, even though the students are the ones receiving the education. So what behavior change do you see or foresee in that respect?
Oh yes, so Sheila, a lot of things have changed actually. What are we increasingly also realizing that children are actually a big part of the decision-making process as well.
Okay.
And thanks to platforms like YouTube, for example, so I'll tell you how the behaviors are changing. So first of all, a very large percentage of children are actually sitting online. So I'll give you an idea. So every month we get some, almost 35 million odd views on our YouTube channels, right? So we are we are the largest K-12 YouTube channel ecosystem, right? Where the children are just flocking around in the classes in YouTube and trying to learn, right? So children are online. Yes, they are a big part of decision making. They are also pushing their parents ki yaar देखो यहाँ पे कैसे teachers हैं, मुझे भी online पढ़ना है, right? So I'm seeing that behavior increasingly. Parents are also getting aware, of course, but what we need to do a great job at, Sheila, to your question, is on giving them trust that I can depend on a platform like Vedantu completely.
Yeah.
To a large extent, these are claims for them. We have I think the ecosystem have not matured, the mindset has not matured, that I as a parent can come and say, "Ek second, I'll ditch everything,
Yeah.
I'll just completely depend on Vedantu." So that for us is a percentage of the families, but not all, right?
Hmm.
Is that achievable for like everyone? I mean, like there will always be a certain split of online offline, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So depends. It depends, Amit, from where. For example, the students who are actually learning, let me use the word primary,
Hmm.
with primary dependence on Vedantu, actually are tier 2 and below. है नहीं उनके पास option,
Yeah.
right? But
Exactly.
if you look at somebody, say, sitting in Mumbai or Delhi, right, or Bangalore,
Hmm.
if it is test prep, people do a lot of, if something is
Yeah.
so mission critical, people like to, sort of do the
Hedge their
hedging.
bets.
Thoda
Yes.
idhar, thoda idhar. Oh, somebody was giving you a nice example. So if you have to get married, right, you don't post your profile only on one platform. So Bharat Matrimony में भी डालेगा, यहाँ भी डालेगा, वहाँ भी डालेगा, right?
Correct.
So I see that behavior in children also, especially in test prep. So there you'll see a lot of secondary use case. But to that point, Shila and Amit, we're the only ones in the country today in the online who actually very actively publish the learning outcome as well. That is the results. So learning outcome internally for us maybe
Yeah.
a bit more detailed, but outside focusing, we do talk about our results in examinations as tough as IIT and NEET, right? With the aim of building confidence in the parents' minds that अरे ये serious stuff है, यहाँ पे आप depend कर सकते हो, right? But it will take some time to reach there. So yeah, but we are at the background. That is our approach. Our approach is learning outcome first and not just delivery first.
Superb. Superb. I mean, and that's, I think, that's the sort of vision mission I'm sure you guys have also, right? To make sure that happens. And that's why I asked that with this change of last year, I'm sure that's accelerated to some extent.
Yes.
We'll only see when obviously world becomes 100% normal, how many more primary, like you said, primary dependence students show up at Vedantu's door. What is the, I mean, just to sort of give a shout out to the next phase of your growth and your journey, what is it that you're looking to like innovate on, and what are you looking for from whoever is your audience, not just students but also like other people who want to join you as teachers? Like, give us a little sight into the next phase for you.
So yes, Shila. So a lot of focus. So the focus is actually going in 2-3 directions. So one is expanding the category. So today we started long back with 9th and 10th grades in 2014-15 because we didn't want to get into the test prep. Mission critical में कोई नई चीज को try नहीं करता, right? Nobody wants to try something new in something as mission critical as test prep. Then we added test prep eventually, and today we have kindergarten to 12, right? So we have 2-3
kindergarten
courses.
classes.
Yeah. So K to 5, we call it one category, kindergarten to 5. For example, my son is studying on Vedantu today.
Yeah.
So doing अभी थी क्लास उसी इसलिए मैं लेट हो गया, sorry. So K to 5 is one category for us, where we realize that it's a different world altogether. So it's like a different company because the way a young kid learns is very, very, very different. So the content, the engagement, the interactions, everything is different. Then we talk about the 6th to 8th category, right? Where it's a bit more deeper into the subject, right? But still extremely interactive young kids. It needs to be like a collaborative, social, lots of fun, lots of gamification.
Those are the major years of school, like the formative years of school.
Yes.
I remember.
And then post 9th, we are more test prep heavy, where it's the test prep phenomena, the high intensity content, speed, pressure, those kind of stuff starts coming in. So one, we are working deeply on 6 to 8 and K to 5 categories because they are new for us, right? We are decently established in the test prep pre-12th, right? And this is one area of work. The second area of work is, to get lots of operational excellence, right? If I should use the word predictability, to get predictability in everything that we do at scale. right? Because making a promise is easy in education. कि हाँ आओ आओ हम मचा देंगे, हम आपके बच्चे को आपके ड्रीम्स पूरे कर देंगे and all that, right? All of us in edtech will and in online or offline will do lots of promises, right?
Yeah.
But I think the real moat is, because finally it's all about word of mouth. Can parents talk about Vedantu as, yeah, they really take care of my child. They really deliver on the promises. They take so much with empathy and care and with lots of love. They take care of my child. If the child goes down, they always come back and try to do something for my child. It's easier said than done at a massive scale. So that's where a lot of effort is going on, and lots of innovations are also happening in that direction. But I think it's easier said than done.
It is, it kind of leads to an interesting question on my this, right? And so without naming names, there have been controversies in edtech recently around the way that people are marketing the businesses itself, right? How do you think about that, right? I mean, like, what are your thoughts around? Again, we don't need to name names, right? But again, just
Sure.
what are your thoughts around, like, the way that some of this stuff is playing out? Where do you guys stand on this? Just your thoughts.
So, okay, very interesting. So, first of all, if you think from a marketeer's angle now, it was a very smart move to play on the insecurities of a parent, right? But at the same time, because I'm a father also to a young kid, you see, these are very formative years for a young brain. And, education is something which has lasting impression on a child's psychology and brain, right? So I think though we're evolving fast, but we also need to be very responsible in understanding what we are doing with a young kid, right? So making claims which we ourselves don't understand, right? Doing stuff which we ourselves do not understand has not been proven in the world to a large extent, and just going, hammer and tongs behind it and just spreading it out like fire. Uh, I don't know how good is that. If I think from edtech perspective and the kind of responsibility that we have towards the children who put their trust on us, so that I'm not very happy about, frankly, right? And we have not done things that way. We'll try not to do things that way is all that I can say. But time only tells, right, what is right, what is
Yeah.
wrong. I just sharing my perspectives.
Fair. The thing that, as you mentioned, right, it is education tech. You're talking to children, and you are putting, everything you just said, right, which is what I thought was like a little bit of. Listen. I believe in marketing. I believe in aggressive marketing, right? But I felt like there's a step where it gets to a point where it is socially somewhat problematic.
But yeah, if you think from the other side as well, people see we are a developing economy, right?
Yeah.
People have dreams,
Yes, they do.
and if you, as
Yeah.
a marketer, if you just hit that right chord where
Yeah.
there's some dream is there, right? You get it. So, but yeah, it shouldn't be done at a point where where it can become misleading for any family as well.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
No, I mean, I just to, on a lighter vein, I have seen such claims being made in the newspapers when we were kids by the coaching classes.
Yeah.
So it's just that it had lesser distribution than our online world today, and that's why it never flared up. But
But more than distribution, I
it was
think it
always
had
the case.
it wasn't the distribution of the advertising that was a problem. It was the distribution of the counterpoints, right? The distribution of the counterpoints, the outrage that we see on
Yeah.
social media and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That's what's really got an additional distribution, right? When you're talking about those classes which were doing that deceptive advertising, they were in Times of India across the country on every page. Right, so
Yeah.
they had that scale of distribution in terms of getting the message out, but there was no way for
The
people to talk
response.
for the
Yeah.
response to occur.
Yeah.
so,
But-
but yeah, I think we keep discussing this internally. It's not just see in education now you can't see it just as a business. It's just my point, because you're dealing with millions of kids suddenly, right? And that suddenly makes you think that are you really doing the best for these young kids, because they're putting their trust in you. And uh, it's very difficult for someone to put their trust with their children onto something, right? So I
Yeah.
think we should, I mean, I'm not just talking about myself, but for the entire ecosystem that, I think the sense of responsibility should be much higher in all of us. And we shouldn't just think of it as a e-commerce business, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Probably won't be the
just
best
selling
way of looking
something.
at it.
That's true. That's true. How? Okay. If in case people do have outrage or anything good to say, where do they reach you, Pulkit? How how approachable are you on social media, or do you want to give a shout out to anyone who wants to listen, talk to you
Yes.
after listening to this show?
So I'm not a very social guy, first of all, but yeah, I'm definitely reachable on. यार Facebook तो पता नहीं कब खोला था मैंने. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
So these days, the kids who I interact with are on Instagram. So I'm a bit active, at least on scrolling
Hmm.
on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So these are the two platforms where, LinkedIn definitely,
Awesome.
yes, for professional discussions.
Also,
Awesome.
quickly, let me also just remind everybody that we're available on all the platforms, so listen to us wherever you want to. But more, also the further reminder that we're making these episodes available on YouTube as full video episodes. So please do go check that out over there if you would like to as well. And yeah, ratings, please go and give us a rating or review wherever you can, right? Whether it's Google Podcast or Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever there's a place to do a rating or a review, please go ahead and do that.
Oh, yes. As we say after our YouTube classes, like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Actually, we should say that about this as well. If you're watching on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine that day has come when I also have to say this: like, share, and subscribe. But please do. And thank you so much, Pulkit, for being a great guest here. You've shared a lot with us. Even like I said, the most of your classes, I'm sure you rate for how engaging and how avid the listeners were. I don't know if you got that rating from me, but I was definitely listening very intently. So, I mean, thank you so much. This was a great conversation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shila. Thanks, Amit.